Hello, I am Lizzy with Long Distance Gamers. We are a group of friends who play games remotely due to us living in different states. Today I will be talking about Roman Roll and its expansion Gladiator. What do I think about it, and more importantly, how do we play it remotely? Now before I get started, there are two different sides. The running side, they for sure have a copy of the game, and they play the game mostly like normal. The remote side may or may not have a copy of the game. We will be going over how the remote side responds to the game. Also, one last thing, this is a prototype, well, pictures printed of a prototype. So bear in mind that this is not final artwork, nor is it the final component quality, because PNC will do a much better job at producing this game than my printer in the other room. So this is Roman Roll set up for remote play. For the buildings, I would highly suggest sending an up-close picture of these to every side, so that way they could easily see the cost of the building, as well as the shape and what it does. And then we have the main board, which we have labeled A through J and 1 through 20, so that way you can respond to that as well. I would also send this up close to everybody so that they can see. We also have the Coliseum and the public advisors. And then everybody has their own player board, which they could either just keep track of their resources as well as their military and senators, and then just ask for clarifications if they need it on these others, or they could keep track of all of them as well. And then we have the back of the player boards, which the very nice thing about these is not only does it say everything you need, but it also includes the dice, which this is for the solo playthrough. However, for remote play, we also refer to these dice by their numbers. So we have the red, yellow, and blue dice, all labeled 1 through 6, which is awesome. If ever a game has dice, I really love it when they do something like this in the rule book or on a reference sheet, because that makes the remote play experience even better. So that way you could just send a picture of that to all sides. Although for this, I would just send the whole thing. So that way when you say, hey, I'm going to draw that blue 6 dice, they know what the blue 6 is. Then when you are ready to play the game, I use a boogie board. However, you can use a piece of paper or whatever you feel comfortable with. The running side will go ahead and state which of these dice that they will be rolling. For a 3-player game, we roll 3 blues, 2 yellow, 2 red, and of course the Gladiator dice. So for instance, they would say that we have a 1, 1, and a 2 for blue, yellow 3, 4, red 1, 6. For the Gladiator, they will simply state how far he's moving and what his trigger is. So if it's conquering and building roads, I would just write conquer on here. And then if he moves 3, we would just move him 1, 2, and 3. And both sides just confirm that he is on the caster, for instance. Now, when you do go to draft dice, every side would just simply state, so if I want the blue 2, I'll say blue 2. And then I will write it down over here. So that way I can know when it comes time to play my turn that I do have that blue 2 that I can use. I will get 1 more die, but before that, they will be grabbing. So say they grab those. And then I will be left with either a yellow 4 or a red 6. So I will go ahead and take the yellow 4. And then on my turns, I will just cross them off once I use them. And we go from there. As far as responding to each of these, we would of course write our resources down and erase them or cross them off, whichever, whether we have paper or the nice boards that are provided in the game. For building a building, we simply will utilize our A through J and 1 through 20. So for instance, if Kitty has the resources to build the smelter, she'll just say, I'm going to go ahead and build the smelter. All sides will either cross off 2 wood, erase 2 wood, or just each side would keep track of their own. So for instance, she wants to build the smelter and she wants to build it over here. So she would build it right there. So she would say, I will build it on E1213, F1314. So that way all sides will know what she's doing. We label it as SM for smelter, which we see right there. And then we put her little meeple on it. Now, I would recommend using 3 very different colors for your game, as sometimes it can be a little bit hard to tell the colors apart, especially if we're using an orange or a red, for instance, because we have red over here and orange right here. It might be a little bit difficult for each side to tell whether they're red or orange and which ones are theirs, unless all sides are keeping track on a board, whether it be the board provided in the game or just one that they printed out. So the best way is just to use very different colors. So I would do a black, a blue, and then a green, as all of those are fairly distinct throughout the cameras. For building on the Colosseum, we do have an A and a B. So when referring to these, we just refer to, hey, I'll take the coin on the A side with an X. Okay, easy peasy. The only issue comes from, we have irons here, 3 on here, as well as 2 jewelry and 3 irons on this side as well. So for those, we would just refer to it, okay, I will take the iron on A first row, and I'll make it an X. And then you'll know. Okay. For the public advisors, you would simply specify, I will go ahead and bribe Florinia with a fish. So that way everyone can know that it's taken, and then however many points you have. So if it's 3, for instance, you would write a 3 there. I write so that I can see it. If your group prefers that they be able to see it easier, you would just flip it, write it, and then flip it back. If you're bribing one of the private advisors, you just specify either by name again. You just say, hey, I'm going to bribe my private Sylvanus, or you could say I'm going to be bribing my private 1, 2, or 3. And then these go in order 1 through 5. And you have to bribe them in that order, so you can't specify that, hey, I want to bribe the 3. So you just specify who you want to bribe, and then whichever order it is, you got that. If you do build the temple, you do go ahead and get one of these gods. You just specify which god you're getting, and then whoever is running the game will put it on your side. So for instance, if Brixie got Minerva, we would just put that right by Brixie's name. These are endgame scoring. However, sometimes they trigger during the game. For instance, this is the first one who builds an arena. So if Kitty is the first one to build an arena, we just put it by Kitty's name, the same as we do with the gods. And the game continues on like this until it triggers, whether it be from the Colosseum filling up or 3 of these blues being triggered between the players. So that is how you play Roman Roll remotely. As you can see, it's not that much different than in-person play. The biggest thing is this board right here. You just have to specify A through J, 1 through 20, and you're good to go. I actually don't like roll and writes usually, but this is one that I do want to play. It doesn't feel like a roll and write, which definitely helps. It feels like a Euro game, which the only thing that really needs to be roll and write are these. And if you would have to build these buildings, it'd be really hard to have them all be one. It would be either translucent, that way you can tilt them, and then you'd have to mark on them that they're yours somehow anyways. So I am perfectly fine with this being a roll and write game. If you do want to see what all of us think, we do have a Fresh Thoughts video where we all talk about the game after we have just played it. But until next time, have fun and be you. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you.